You don't have to be a master painter to paint beautiful miniatures. Hey folks, I'm Rob the Easterling. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a good day, because today we're going to be painting Ahsoka from Star Wars Shatterpoint. This was probably one of the hardest miniatures I've had to paint so far, because she's got a lot of intricate details in the coloration of her skin, and as well as all the details of her head and all that. However, priming it in that crystal blue was the best idea I've had so far. So let's get to the table and start painting. Alright, so like I mentioned, I primed Ahsoka in the crystal blue primer by the Army Painter. And by the way, I love this primer, okay? It goes on really nice. It actually has a good coating. But it sometimes is hard to cover because it's kind of bright, but also dark at the same time. And for some reason, I want to darken it down more. Why am I doing this? I'm putting a blue tone on it so I can actually see all the nooks and crannies on this miniature. Okay, because I want to make sure I'm getting all the edges and all that, making sure I'm not painting over anything else, because when you have the crystal blue, it kind of dilutes everything. But now, having let that blue tone dry and using pale skin from the Zombicide Invader paint set, I'm able to do the areas that are going to be a little hard to touch on, because there's like a little overlapping sometimes in certain areas, especially on her head area thingy. And by the way, I am a Star Wars fan, but for some reason I do not know the name of the thing to her head, you know, whatever that may be. Anyways, so having that blue tone in the recesses also gives all the details, so you can see a little bit more. Before I had just the crystal blue on there, that it was like all blue. Right now it's got the shading effect already done for me, and it's also got all the areas that I'm like, okay, now I see the raised edges a bit more. Giving myself an advantage on this. This was probably the longest part on Ahsoka to paint, because there's just so much areas to get like perfect and all that. And I mean, there's even like a couple spots on her face, which I do with the white, but then I end up covering it up with the skin tone later on. But I will come back and patch that up just to make sure that it still has that real Ahsoka look to it. By the way, Ahsoka is one of the primary units that you can use in Star Wars Shatterpoint. If you haven't played this skirmish game, you are missing out. It is a super easy game to learn and to play. Not too many crazy rules, lots of beautiful terrain. You can use their terrain, you can print your own terrain, you can do a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah, alright, so the next part what we're doing is her actual skin with the Jasper skin here. And this is a skin tone by the Army Painter, and this is a darker reddish brown skin, which kind of goes with the actress from Ahsoka. A little too dark for the Clone Wars style, but I'm going to fix that up with a little highlighting later on with a different skin tone that's just going to go on the top and clean that up a bit. So she has her arms and her hands exposed. There's her face, of course. And of course, this paint does take a couple... Well, I didn't shake it properly, I don't think, the first time. It's got the mixing balls in it, which is great that Army Painter now, in their new Warpaints Fanatic set coming out in early 2024, will have mixing balls in every one of their paints, which is great because they need to be shook up, and having those mixing balls in there makes a big difference, in my opinion. Maybe some people are like, nah, you don't need them, but trust me, especially in these skin tones, some of them, especially this one, really needed them. But as you can see, over the crystal blue, it is actually covering really well. There is a little bit of blue whenever if you don't put on too thick, so that's why I said you need a few layers. That's why you see me going back over the face, back over the hands and the arms, because one thing for sure, the paint dries fast, which is really good. Not enough to put like a wash over it, you know, you have to wait a bit more time for that. Now we're using a little bit of dark stone paint here just to get some of those, I guess some of some of the raised edges on her skirt there. I noticed they were a little bit darker gray, so I figured, oh, you know what, we'll follow the artwork that I see on their website. By the way, I'm not following the artwork on the cards. I'm following the artwork on their website that they have the products displayed, showing you what it can do, which is really cool, by the way. On a side note here, I've actually heard people creating proxies for this game, not even buying the core set or any other things, using 3D printing models, because you can actually find the stats cards, everything you need to play this game online, which is kind of interesting, because then you could print it out. Okay, you can't officially be in a tournament because it has to be the official material, but some people are creating proxies, and which is great because you can save money that way, and that's okay. I've seen it more with Marvel Crisis Protocol, which is huge for that. I haven't seen it on this yet, but I mean the models are amazing for this, so I don't know why you would do that. And yeah, the price is a little high, but whatever, you know, like you're gonna get into a game. So this is what we're gonna highlight now, the skin with the topaz skin. So it's a little bit lighter, it's more like a beigeish brownish color. So we're just gonna go on the upper areas. I'm also gonna put it more thinned out, and then I'm doing her lightsabers with Battleship Gray, because you know her lightsabers in the show were white, so I didn't want them to be blue or green or whatever color she has in the Clone Wars. I think it was green. And then just putting some polished silver here on the actual hilts. And then I'm coming in with, just like I did with Bo-Katan, I'm putting a Nuln Oil on top of the entire miniature, even the skin tone here. I'm not even putting a flesh shade on, I'm not putting a skin shade on, just going with the good old Nuln Oil on the whole miniature, let that dry up, and finish the base off. And there you have it, folks. Ahsoka Tano from Star Wars Shatterpoint is painted, ready for the table. Hope you enjoyed these videos, guys. Hit that like button, and we'll see you all in the next one.